Inching closer to the start of the 2026 Stanley Cup Final. A good one for you today. Darren Pang is going to join us on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. How are you? It's Stanley Cup Final week.
Now, are you excited? You're in Raleigh. Are you excited?
I'm really excited. I'm returning to the place that I covered my first Stanley Cup Final, wire to wire. 2002 was Carolina and Detroit was the first one that I went on location for the Stanley Cup Final. And I still remember so many just flashbacks of moments during that series in which Detroit got pushed a little bit at the start of the series, but we all knew the Red Wings were going to be able to come through. That was Paul Maurice back in the day with Carolina.
Yeah, that was the one at the end of the series where the Red Wings, the buzzer goes, the Red Wings win the cup, and Scotty disappears off the bench and runs into his coach's office and puts his skates on and comes out and skates with the cup. So my memories of Carolina were my first year as VP of broadcasting for the NHL, 2006, 20 years ago. And two things come to mind is that Rod Brindamore literally snatches the Stanley Cup out of Gary's hands without Gary even presenting it to him. He just takes it. If you watch the video, Rod just grabs it. And Gary's kind of, well, okay. And then Rod puts it over his head and the place goes ballistic. But when you do, and that was a seventh game, so you do planning for a day about how the presentation goes and how to keep people off the ice. And so we have meeting after meeting after meeting about how to keep people off the ice. And the general manager of the arena, who has passed away since, I think his name was Dave Smith, says, "Yep, John, no problem. No problem. We're gonna have double wristbands, and we're gonna have lanyards and stickers, and there's only 2 access points." And I said, I feel very comfortable, and so we're only going to have the teams out there, and then we're going to escort the media out there after that. And the buzzer goes, and Carolina wins the Stanley Cup. This guy opens every possible door in the arena, and 800 people, friends and family and staff of the Carolina Hurricanes go on the ice. And I turn and look at him. He says, "Boss told me I could do it," which is Peter Carmanos. So yeah, you can't argue with the boss. I've never forgotten that. It was chaos on the ice in Carolina in 2006.
That's the way it always was. And then the team would get the Stanley Cup and they would go to the room and celebrate. But now,
well, the problem is in Raleigh.
The room is the private place, and teams hold that very at large.
Because it happened just by pure coincidence, because in Raleigh and in the following year in Anaheim, the rooms were so small. The dressing rooms were so small, you couldn't put TV cameras in for 3 rights holders and all that stuff and expect anything to happen. So that's why they said we're going to do everything on the ice. And that's how it really changed at that point. And you're right, then the dressing room became a special place for the players and their families, which in essence makes a ton of sense.
It's kind of the way it should be.
That's been the tradition now for 20 years, and it's worked out really well.
We got some news. Kitchener Rangers, congratulations. My buddy Joe Birch, business side of the Kitchener Rangers, but the hockey operations winning the Memorial Cup.
Mike McKenzie's the general manager?
Yeah.
So congratulations to the team. They looked imposing the whole tournament, Darren. They were that good. They were by far, it was an easy one to pick as who's going to win the Memorial Cup. They were just, I think, head and shoulders above anybody else that was at the tournament. But another successful tournament. Kelowna did a great job of hosting. It's become a bit of a gem, the Memorial Cup, in so many ways. And TSN deserves some credit in Canada, and it played on NHL Network in the United States, that they do a really good job in making the tournament look as big as a Stanley Cup playoff game.
Big note to come here, but the Toronto Maple Leafs also massaging their front office.
Starting to see some change. John Chayka has hired Judd Brackett, who recently was with the Wild as an assistant general manager. And Freddie Hamilton, Doug's older brother, Dougie Hamilton's older brother, is joining the hockey operations as a quote-unquote chief of staff. So starting to see the formation of a new management group with the Maple Leafs, even though they don't have a coach yet. And it's funny. There are so many rumors and so many things coming out about who's supposed to be coaching and who they're talking to. I think probably the safest thing to do is just wait for the announcement, because there's so many.
I've never seen this before during a coaching vacancy, but there's more reports saying who's not in the running than there is who's in the running right now.
Because the people that aren't in the running will tell you, yeah, I'm not in the running. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's in the running is not saying a word. I mean, and what I can tell you is that with everything that has gone on in the last 3 or 4 months in Toronto, they are trying to clamp down on information. They are trying to make sure that there are no leaks within the hockey operations group in order to try to turn this ship around and put it in a better direction.
What's a chief of staff? I haven't heard that term around hockey before. I
have no idea.
Okay.
So
I was hoping you'd be able to tell me that, but I'm glad I'm not the only one in the dark.
We're actually, next year when the new season starts on 100% hockey, I think we're going to hire a chief of staff.
Mm-hmm. I thought you would it sounds like a good title. I thought you would just absorb that.
It's a great title. Come on now. It's as good as one of those titles on network news shows of managing editor. Now that's a good title. Chief of staff, managing editor, creative consultant. All those things are good. Those are good titles.
Marvelous run for the Montreal Canadiens, and it ends, and now we're getting some fallout from that and decisions on the future, and Brendan Gallagher making an announcement.
Yeah, it looks like he has told everybody. He told the media assembled at Bell Center today that he has played his last game for Montreal. He's a Vancouver kid, and when you think about where the Canucks are going, and the growth that the Canucks need, does Brendan Gallagher fit a need in Vancouver in the short term as they rebuild their franchise with some character? Brendan Gallagher certainly has character, so that's one that does make sense in Vancouver. But today's the news that he has played his last game as a member of the Montreal Canadiens. I think a few of us are disappointed that he didn't get a chance to play, particularly in the Carolina series. But at the same time, it's difficult to question what what Jeff and Kent and Marty have done in Montreal. They've progressed things so well there and over the last couple of years.
But tough decisions in hockey, right? The teams in the Stanley Cup Final illustrate that. You got to be able to take some of the emotion out of it. It's hard to do at times.
You have to take all the emotion out, Darren. You do. You really do. I remember back to a time in the late 80s where Bill Torrey, who was general manager of the Islanders, was too loyal to a lot of the great players from that early 1980s run where they won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups, and it hurt them for 3 or 4 years in that he kept players around after they became less.
Well, that one was unique. 16 players won all 4 cups. Like, that was incredible.
Yes, right. But then from 85 on, this was a team that didn't really perform at that level, and quite frankly, he should have gotten rid of a lot of those heroes on the island. If they had expected to continue to win championships. And I would say that the organization, because of loyalty and Torrey's affection for some of those guys, I'm not sure it took 2 years to recover, 2 decades rather, to recover from it. It was difficult to fathom at times.
How's your loyalty?
Oh, very good. Tremendously loyal. Yeah,
good.
Tremendously loyal.
So you and I are good?
Well, today, but there's always another day, Yeah.
Loyalty is only an hour long.
I learned that from Kelly McCrimmon, so.
Well, Krim takes the emotion out of it. It's unbelievable how he's able to step back and make difficult decisions. And the Golden Knights 9 years, it's full of those choices. And Kelly's one of those ones. Tough decisions are hard, but you have to make those, and then you have to make the right decisions on top of that.
Yes, and because it's no different than running a major international corporation. You have to make sure your profits are growing. You have to make sure that the single objective of the organization to win the Stanley Cup occurs as much as possible. So you can have down years and you can have rebuilding years, but tough decisions are made then. Or at the same time, if you believe you have enough pillars of a building to win the championship, like the Golden Knights believed they have all year. Because, I've heard it all season long that, the Golden Knights, we have a championship pedigree here. We have enough to win. And there were times during the season that you didn't see it. And you wanted to know why it was so inconsistent. And in the end, there was some cold, calculated decisions to be made. And unfortunately, Bruce Cassidy was the one who had to face that. John Tortorella came in, and Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee proved to be right about their belief in this roster. And that's why we're starting a Stanley Cup Final in Raleigh on Tuesday night between the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes.
A little bit more on that as we continue. Darren Pang is going to join us. It's the ESPN Stanley Cup Final in the United States, so Panger's got a little extra downtime on the TNT side. So he'll give us his thoughts on the Stanley Cup Final. 100% Hockey continues with Millard and Shannon right after this.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
It's that time of the year. Not because I'm at the Stanley Cup Final, but because today's guest in Darren Pang is at his lake house. How are you, Panger? I love that look.
I'm fantastic. It's great being here in Michigan, you guys. You know how much I put great stock in the quality of life. We all have long years. Mally, you're there, because the team you cover is there. That I remember in 2019 how exciting that was, being with the St. Louis Blues and going all the way to the final and being a traveling team. I credit the Blues then, Darren, because they treated us the same way as they did in the regular season. Craig Berube said, do everything normal, everything you would always do. If we're going to win 16 games, win the Stanley Cup, then do everything normal. I remember looking at him and going, well, I guess I'm bringing my golf clubs in the conference final. Then again, he says, whatever you do, keep doing it. But the enjoyment of being around a team was different than the national side. You're with that group. You're still going on the team bus. You're going underneath the tunnels. You're going by the locker room, and you have I had great admiration. I always have had for all the writers that dig in there. They pile into the rooms. They're trying to get a story that nobody else has. And I give the guys that are on the ground in their boots, they're doing a good job. But I did enjoy that time. And I would love to be in the Stanley Cup Final and watching them, because I watch every bit of it, and I'm excited for this final. I know it's not a traditional. It's obviously Carolina and New Jersey, but I think these are 2 big boy teams, and I think this is going to be a really good Stanley Cup Final. I think that's men versus men, and I think for every inch that they battle for, I think it's going to be exciting. I'm really, really looking forward to watching this. From the lake house in Michigan.
I almost disagree with you.
From the lake house in Michigan.
Yeah. I think this is now a traditional Stanley Cup Final, just because of to your point, the way these 2 teams play so hard. I don't think we've seen this season 2 teams be more diligent on a nightly basis and more complete on a nightly basis. And play with such intensity. Let's face it, Carolina does this most of the season. And we always wonder if they can ramp it up, and they have. And then Vegas is Vegas because just with the quality of players that they have and the ability to play big boy hockey, as you call it.
Yeah, John, going back to that, you're right. I guess I was thinking of I remember all those my early years at ESPN when we, had the rights in the US with Fox for a little bit of part of the time, but all the executives just talking about what the anticipated final would be. And sure enough, if it wasn't an original six team or a team with a great, hockey ratings market, everybody's like, oh no. But I remember doing a presentation at training camp one time saying like everybody puts the Stanley Cup in the locker room at training camp. Every executive and coach looks at their team and said, this is our ultimate goal. So when those teams get there, I hope that people aren't disappointed because they got there, and the teams that they favored weren't there because of ratings or original six and history. But Carolina's been down this road before. I remember, was that 4 years ago that it was Vegas and the Florida Panthers in the final?
Yes.
Right.
23.
Yeah. Florida was a little beat up by the time they got there. My buddy Bruce Cassidy, was an exciting moment for me personally to see Bruce, lift the Stanley Cup and be winners there. And that one ended up kind of like poof, because, one team was just stronger than the other team was really banged up. And I was disappointed the way that series ended up going in 5 games. And then the next couple goes, 7 games with Edmonton and Florida. Who would have thought? But, ratings were pretty good and the hockey was really, really good. And there was a lot of anticipation of what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And so this one here, the travel for you guys isn't going to be great, but it's, I didn't see very many direct flights when I was checking that out for you guys.
But by the way, ratings are really up in the United States.
Yes, they are. It's been a great year.
And this is where, just to give due, I'm one of those doubters that I never think the Olympics give that ripple effect, but the Olympics did it this year. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the Americans won the gold medal, people, particularly females, started to continue to watch the National Hockey League. And the residue of that is great ratings in the playoffs for both TNT and ESPN.
Yeah. No, I'm never sure either, John, with that, because, during the Olympic break, the NHL's, at a stop. And as I went around during that break, not working the Olympics, people would say that, they'd be like grumpy about, the NHL stopped. And, this kind of halt, this kind of pause really hurts the league. And then bang, the Olympics got better and better and better. And that just built it to another crescendo. You're right about that. And I think too, we have so many, and you probably know better than I do about the linear and the way that Nelson ratings have changed a little bit. I think it's finally catching up to maybe some of the numbers we thought were there. But I'm really happy for TNT and for ESPN. I think the relationship's been good on the basketball side for both these companies, and obviously on the hockey side, it's they work well together. Although sometimes it's frustrating as an analyst. You're going to go do game 1 and 2 on the series, and then you get 3 games off, and you come back and you join them for game 6 or what have you. But I think we're getting used to it, and as you get used to that kind of change, then you get better at the change instead of, worrying about what you did miss or how you're rejoining a series again. So all that in mind, I thought the playoffs this year were real good. And I know I enjoyed the heck out of them, especially going to Buffalo and, doing some of that, the Buffalo series, especially Buffalo, Montreal. But I'll say this, I think Brendan Burke and I had the hometown jinx, though. We got very few home team wins, and that was a little frustrating. You're looking, the fans are looking at a win. They're looking at this. We're going to finish this off, and done. And everybody leaves the building grumpy, and the bars are not happy. Nobody's happy walking the streets of Chippewa Street whenever there's a loss there. But all in all, I thought it was really good hockey, and it was great to see some new teams in it and to see them experience what this is all about. Whether it's just getting into the playoffs for the first time, dealing with the media for the first time, getting through the first round, and then building up to the second round, having to deal with the adversity. What's wrong with this guy? Why is he doing that? And then bang, the teams that had some resilience like Montreal did, except for, obviously the last round was a different round. But I was really impressed with some of the young teams that had some pop to them when it wasn't going well, that they just didn't go away meekly into the night. So it's been a pretty impressive growth year for a lot of these franchises, organizations, and I think fans too, with their anticipation of their team possibly winning someday.
Well, and the people in Raleigh can relate to what Montreal just went through because they fizzled out the last number of years. What do you think allowed Roddy Brindamore's team to get over the hump this year?
Matchups, I think, were favorable for them.
Yeah.
So you gain steam, you get rest. There was no question marks about a goaltender being injured like Freddie Andersen. Sometimes you go that 6th and 7th game, Darren, as well as I do that, all of a sudden there's a little traffic interference. All of a sudden there's a little movement east to west because maybe you've been on one too many PKs and that groin just pops a little bit. This one's, it just seemed like the path was there for them. And I give Roddy and Carolina credit too, Darren, is that they took advantage of it. They knew they had an opening and they still put their foot on the pedal the whole time. So they haven't faced much adversity. I think they will in this one. I think for the Carolina fans to think that this is going to happen like it's happened in the previous series, I think they're dead wrong. I think they should expect a 7-game series and one that's going to be a bullying, tight defensive group to play against, and that would be Vegas. I've loved the way they played defensively. I mean, inside their own blue line, I think they're not given a whole lot in the middle of the ice. I think their exchanges are good. Their reads are phenomenal. I don't know. So I think that's why this is going to be tough for Carolina to get through that D of Vegas.
Who's deeper?
Yeah, who's deeper? Boy, don't underestimate Carolina's depth. Wow, that's a really good question.
Because let's face it, the history of winning the Stanley Cup is usually where the stars neutralize each other.
Yeah.
And then that second line of stars, you go back to what Canadians did in the 70s, and it was the Mario Tremblays, the Yvon Lamberts, those were the guys that did it. You'll go to the Islanders, and it was Nystrom and Bourne and Tonelli. As opposed to the big boys. Same thing for the Oilers. The biggest goal in the history of the Edmonton Oilers might have been won by Pat Hughes or Kevin McClellan. So where does the depth of each team provide a lot of satisfaction for each of those coaches?
Yeah, well, I think you're right about that. I think there's always going to be a hero somewhere for the Stankovens and the Jarvises and the Blakes of Carolina on the smaller side, but crafty, competitive. Those 3 players in particular I'm impressed with because, me about size. I don't think you're going to have a whole bunch of small shrubs out there, but if you do, you better have them to be competitive. You've
been talking to Kenny Holland. You've been talking to Kenny Holland.
You're exactly right. I'm going to be playing golf with Kenny coming up here. So yeah, I keep thinking of the way he says that. You can have all these redwood trees. You can have a little shrub, a small bush, but you got to. But for the forward, but he always talks about the defense on the D on the back end, but on the forward side, these guys come out of the corner with the puck. That's the part. Now I'm going to go on the other side now. So do they have the scoring there? Can Taylor Hall continue his marvelous playoff run? As well as I do that John Tortorella, or if it was Bruce Cassidy, or if it was any of the other veteran coaches, if it was Joel Quenneville, you're going to circle a couple of guys. It's going to be Taylor Hall. It's going to be a big circle there. And you're going to get a licking on him early and see what he's got after that. Ivan Barbashev is a human missile. Ivan Barbashev, was it Malinsky that he hit in the first 4 minutes of that series in Colorado? I've known Barbie since he was drafted, and I know what he's all about. He will that target will be right there, and it's going to be one pop, and then it's going to be the next one's going to be a defenseman. It's going to be a Shane Gostisbehere who runs the power play, bang, and so that's going to be the key. So for me, I'm going to say that Vegas has a little bit more of that veteran depth in terms of how they know how to play regardless of the game. So I might be wrong on this, but I'm going to say that they have a little bit more depth up front.
How is the stage of the Stanley Cup Final different than the first 3 rounds for a player?
Well, we're sitting in a situation where we all know what the media day is all about. There's separate podiums. It's more of Olympics, as you get to the final. There's more of an Olympic feel because you're in separate podiums and the writers are coming in. You've got your time there. It's a big moment for these players. Some of them have just sat in their locker room where there might be 2 or 3 writers and they answer the same questions, or they're really enthusiastically excited to talk about hockey. And the veteran players, they've done it before. They know what they're going to say. They know how they're going to say it. Some of them are going to send some messages that their team wants them to send a little bit. I do like, I'm going to answer this too, Darren. I think I like, because the first round, you're an open locker room. There's not much podium stuff except for the coaches. And the coaches take the brunt of it. Morning skate, post game, it's always the coaches. Now, unless you're Torts, sorry. Anyway, you go, and then you go.
I wondered if you were going to do that.
No, but then you go along, and number one, I'm going to say this: I don't think the coaches should have to do everything they do. I think we're asking them to do way too much, and I think that's why some fans listen to these coaches and go, oh, "Man, same old stuff." Well, what are they going to say every single day, twice a day? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm going to say my piece on that. I don't think it's necessary.
You have to feed the beast. You have to feed the beast.
Yes, but I know, but can't somebody else take the brunt of that? Not just the head coach all the time.
That's up to the team. The teams could manage that better.
Yeah, they probably could if anyway. Going back to the coaches part, we listen to them all the time. It's like, okay, here we go again. Hey, fellas, and we get the private talk with them, and then they get to talk with the main media, and then they're on the podium. And but the players themselves, I think it's a nice transition into the Stanley Cup Final for them. You could see how more comfortable, I'm going to say, the Buffalo Sabres were. First round, man, we're finally in the play. We're answering the same questions. Late in that round, now you're getting more comfortable. Second round, you're sitting in that locker room and you're still answering questions, but you're building up to it. So you're getting used to it. By the time you get to the Stanley Cup Final, it could be overwhelming for some players in some moments. But I think that the NHL does it well. And I think the policy of having the players make sure they're in that locker room and seeing the same people and answering the questions is important for the players. So these are 2 veteran teams, though, that I think by and large, have been in an environment to be able to handle this pretty well, I think.
Darren Pang with us on 100% Hockey. We'll continue right after this with John, Shannon, and Daren Millard.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
John asked the question about depth, Panger, and the second lines for both teams have been the better lines during the course of the first 3 rounds.
Is that uncommon?
No.
First line goes against the other team's best line, best checkers. Jordan Staal is going to take on as much as possible on home ice. Jack Eichel. Then you're going to have the best defending defenseman. They're going to be on against them, and then bang, there's got to be a hole somewhere, and that's why players and that's why teams that get this far have them slotted in the right manner. So then usually there is a hero on the third line that maybe gets a couple of shorthanded goals and then cashes in a little bit 5-on-5, hardly gets on the power play. So you're not going to see those kind of points. But then you've got the second line. I think that's always the sneaky line for me. So let's go to Carolina for a second. So we go to Carolina and we go, well, Hall, Stankoven, and Jason Blake. I mean, I guess there's a bit. I mean, Jackson. Oh, geez, sorry about that. I must do that all the time with Jason Blake. Go against the players that you played against. I mean, Svechnikov is such a big guy. He gets kind of he gets in and out of it. He's going to have to be in this the whole way. He's going to have to use that skating skill and big body. Sebastian Aho is just a good, solid player, and Seth Jarvis is sneaky good. The line that's been real good is Nikolai Ehlers, Jordan Staal, and Martinook. Martinook's just an everyday. He's just a workhorse. He's good on the PK. He's a vibrant personality. He talks on the bench. He keeps everybody alive. He's a very positive person. And then you've got Eric Robinson and Carrier. Pretty solid right there. Pretty solid on the wing. And Jankowski has been good for them too. So that's solid up the middle of the ice. Aho, Stankoven, Staal, and Jankowski. I think that's a really good group right there. Before you go. So you mentioned two guys that I would describe completely as journeymen, and then they get to Carolina and they blossom. Eric Robinson, like I saw Eric Robinson play in Columbus. I saw Eric Robinson play in Buffalo. Eric Robinson gets to Carolina and becomes a big, fast guy. Mark Jankowski. I mean, I still remember the day he was drafted by the Flames, and everybody shook their heads and said, we're taking a high schooler. And it's taken him a decade to become a pro player, and yet he's a contributor. What do they do? What does Rod do? What does this organization do to make players like this get to that next level? Yeah, how do they get that plug and play mentality? Well, listen, you succeed, and they've succeeded here with I'll go Eric Robinson, Jankowski, Taylor Hall.
Same way.
William Carrier would fit in. He's fit in anywhere he's played. So I'm not going to include him there because he's a Stanley Cup champion. But I think they go through the same questions we do when they get a player. Is that the right player? Like I remember talking to Rod when Rantanen ended up going to Dallas in that trade, and I remember talking to him saying, I think Stankoven at the end of the day, it's going to work out better for you. I think he's a better player for the way that you coach. He's a more energetic player. He's a hunter of the puck. He's not a guy that wants to be the third man high or doesn't want to get in and forecheck all the time, because they're a rambunctious group. That's what they are. They're go, 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 go. And if you don't have that what's the word? I mean, just that ability to stay on your toes, that ability,
tenacity,
conditioning wise, that tenacity, that gumption. I didn't think Taylor Hall was going to work here. I mean, I was asked that question a couple of times, but you take a player from a losing environment that's, obviously not happy being in Chicago with the way that the team's not trending upwards and building. They're regrouping. And when you've got older players that don't want to be regrouping, then you don't see the best side of their play. And then sure enough, you go into an environment where it's everybody's all in. Boy, does that get you going and fired up. And so then I see Taylor Hall. I see the way that they play. It works well for Taylor Hall. It works well for them. That worked. Robinson can skate and can move. He's not Martinook is good on pucks. Staal is still, I think he's still a Selke nominee. Like every year I go by and I'm, why doesn't Staal get more Selke nominations? Because the coach, Rod Brindamore, is an actual matchup guy. There's a lot of teams that aren't matchup coaches anymore. But he is on home ice. He's a matchup guy. He starts that line a lot. Now he's added Ehlers to that line. It's a little more speed, and they can get on pucks and still defend well with Martinook and Staal. So, it's pretty good question by you, John, about how they do it, how they work analytics into speed, into work ethic, into wanting to go to the gym and compete with Rod, and then getting on the ice and go, 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 go. And listen, in saying all that go, 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 go can also be costly for them. You saw the way that they played that first game against Montreal. They mismanaged a lot of areas of the ice. They were puck hungry. They were puck watchers. Maybe it was because they hadn't played in a while, because obviously they got back to their game and stifled Montreal. But that could be one area in a system that they play that Vegas could take advantage of, because you do have the ability, when Carolina is off a little bit with their presses, with their man on man, that there's some seams. And if you can find those seams, you're going to get 2-on-1 breaks, 3-on-1 breaks, 1-on-0 breaks. But when they're on it, you're not going to get anything. And that's going to be a fun thing to watch in this series.
So, do you think there's going to be a ton of matchups?
I can't see why not.
So does that mean Jordan Staal
on
versus
home ice? Home ice.
Jordan Staal versus Jack Eichel?
Absolutely.
Wow, that'd be fun to watch.
Well, it's first of all, to me, Staal wins a lot of faceoffs. You got a lefty against a righty. I always love that matchup. Eichel's a powerful player too, powerful skater, a better skater, a stronger skater, I think. But Eichel does go to areas of the ice, and then he waits for the next layers. And I think that's where Stahl's very good at identifying that area of the ice and what to take away. But you can also go. You can go Aho, Jarvis, and Svechnikov. So you got two groups for me that can go up against them. And if you want, I don't know about Jankowski, Carey, and Robinson, if that's the line that stays together. But anyway, I think it is going to be more of a matchup game, especially on home ice for Carolina.
Goaltending matchup. Does one team have an edge at all?
No, I don't think we're into it just yet. I don't think the edge. I don't think until about the third game we're gonna have to have me back on after game 3. Because
I'm fine with that.
Because I honestly, because I don't know. I mean, Freddie Andersen's the more accomplished goaltender. When he has control of his posts and doesn't start sliding outside of his posts, that's a massive human being with good athletic ability. The key always against Freddie is to get him out and get him moving side to side. I mean, that lateral movement for these big guys, it's hard on their body. It's hard on their groins. It's hard on their movement. He's a big guy. But if you think you can go down the wing and blast one, and he's on his angles and has control of his posts, I think you're sadly mistaken about that. So I think because of experience, I think they have the advantage in that area. The athleticism of Carter is really, really impressive. I love that he's got good hands and he makes saves that maybe he sprinkles in a couple of superlatives, that you go, whoa, that changes things right there. And I've been really impressed, with obviously the way that he's grown with every playoff series. So that to me, I'll give a slight edge. You know what? I'll give a slight edge to the big redheaded man in Carolina.
Really? Just really?
Yeah.
Well, more of a statement on the position, but
yeah.
You go back over the last 4 years. Bobrovsky doesn't have a contract right now. Stuart Skinner's not with the Oilers anymore. Aiden Hill, who won with Vegas 4 years ago, is backing up right now. And Colorado, which won in 22, has those guys are all gone. There's not a lot of sticking power with the position right now. There's a lot of changeover because Bobrovsky's at a certain age.
Yeah, it's we're in a cycle right here, aren't we? With it. I mean,
at the elite level, right?
Yeah, at the elite level. But Bob, had a good run in Columbus and a really good run here in obviously in Florida. And what happens there, I'm not quite sure. But I mean, the really good ones. I mean, the really good ones. You're paying them $10 million. You're keeping them. I mean, why Florida? Why did they go to 3 Stanley Cup Finals? Well, because they got great goaltending from Alex Lyon to get them in that one year, and then from Bob to take it all over. The Vegas of a few years ago, Brossoit was there, Aiden Hill. Who was the third?
Quickie backed up.
Quickie backed up in the final.
Logan Thompson was hurt. Yeah,
Logan Thompson was hurt. So, boy, it goes to show you've got to have a whole stable of goaltending. You really do. Yeah, one for the first half of the first period, one for the second half of the first period. We're going to be like that pretty soon. I'm not sure which one I would be. I think I would be the starter, and then Keenan would have me out. Next guy in. But again, I think that like Brandon Bussey had a good year too. A really good year in goal. They got 2 big guys there that are different goaltenders. So if something were to happen, then I think Carolina's in pretty good shape right there as far as their goaltending.
By the way, just out of curiosity, don't check your notes. Tomorrow night's game, Tuesday night's game 1, is what career playoff game for Freddie Andersen?
52.
99. 99.
Oh, jeepers.
I know.
Because all his Anaheim games, right?
Well, Anaheim and then
Carolina.
And there were a few in Toronto.
And Toronto, yeah.
But game 1 is the 99th playoff game for Freddie Andersen, because we always and Darren and I used to talked about this a lot the last month, is that we all used to roll our eyes at Freddie Andersen because he got to the big games and couldn't do it, and he's been able to do it this year. It's really one of the best.
It's like
positive.
He's not only a
stories
redheaded
of the
guy,
playoffs.
but maybe it's like a bottle of red wine. You know what I mean? He's just getting a little better with a little bit of age right here. That's all.
Yeah.
You know. And what's that?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say about Freddie though, and this is the part of my job, as you guys know, that I absolutely love, is the even though there's years, decades, size difference, the ability to talk goaltending, sit down with a goaltender, Ukko-Pekka or Alex Line, or like the goaltenders. They still talk goaltending, and I've always enjoyed talking goaltending with Freddie Andersen. And when he went to Toronto, I'd go to bat for him because I just think that there's something there that's so
what
good.
What is it that you like talking to him about goaltending? What intrigues you?
Well, number one, his calmness is not unparalleled, but it's pretty darn good. It's the fire's at its hottest, and he seems to be the most level-headed of the group. The criticism's at its highest, and he seems to maintain the perfect even levelness. Now, sometimes I'd be like, "Hey, Freddie, get mad." You can get sour a little bit. You can get hot under the collar. But I've liked that part of him, and I've liked the way that he's played. He's a big goalie, but he's not predictable. He's not a guy that's going to RVH. He's not a guy that's going to go here. He's not a guy that's going to take the percentage away. He gets out in the net and he looks like a goaltender. He actually looks like, as I'm moving around here, you can see I'm moving around in my net over here. And that's why I say when he's on his game and his angles are on and he's in control of that crease, because there's not much movement, as you well know, in that crease. There shouldn't be that much movement. It's only 6 feet. Your crease area is inside your right post to inside your left post. It shouldn't be outside of it. And that's why a lot of young goaltenders that end up on their stomach, how many times do we, end up seeing a replay of the goalie's coming down. Now he's on his belly. Like where's the balance aspect of playing goal? Anyway, I think that Freddie, if he gets that protection, and this is all the key, so this goes back to Vegas. Vegas has got to get right in his kitchen, right in front of him, make him battle, make him work hard to see pucks. And I know that it's obviously going to be the main goal for both teams, but I think against Freddie, you don't want him to get off to a good start here on home ice and have some confidence. You want to put doubt in his mind, if at all possible, because that hasn't happened at all for Carolina or for Freddie in this playoff run.
I'm going to ask you a tough question because I know you're a friend of Bruce Cassidy's.
Mm-hmm.
How much credit should John Tortorella get?
A lot. I think, and I've had total respect with Torts's crediting Bruce. I actually sent him a text on it, and I was like, "Hey, everybody knows Bruce and I are longtime friends, but I've really liked it when he's just out of the blue said something about the team and the great job that Bruce has done." Because if you're experienced enough to be in this league, you know that sometimes your voice just isn't hitting it anymore. And for whatever reason, because Bruce is a hell of a coach, and that's a great run. And he won the Stanley Cup there as their head coach. So, but I do think that Torts has an ability to come in and not be a father figure, but a different figure than a lot of coaches. Whether he can do that, again, you just take Torts and you say, okay, let's give Torts 4 years in Vegas and see what happens in the fourth year.
Right.
We don't know. But for right now, I mean, he was a perfect person to put in there in that situation and just kind of keep building them up a little bit. The system's there. The players are there. The quality's right there. The line combinations are there. I mean, everything is there. But that the fresh voice and the way that he did it, certainly he deserves a lot of credit. And so does Bruce. And that's why I've really admired Torts giving Bruce the credit that he's given him, because I don't think it's easy being a 5-year coach on like a 5-year deal coach. You know what anymore? Like they're 3-year coaches on 5-year deals, and that's just the way it is. The players are on the long-term deals, and when they want to go in another direction, they just go in another direction, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't start the engine again, you know.
That's what makes Rod Brind'Amour amazing.
Yes, it is.
I mean, now we're seeing the guy with 8 games in the regular season, and the guy with 8 years in the regular season. So it's a bit of a contrast. Although let's face it, Tortorella is experienced and knows a lot. I'm going to get on a bit of a soapbox because we're going to hear a ton about on network television of John Tortorella. We're going to hear it because it's an easy thing to talk about. But the players still play the game.
He also worked at ESPN, so they know him. They work with him.
We're going to hear it in Canada too, though. We're going to hear it in Canada too.
Hey, when he didn't have a job and I was with TSN, I worked with him too for a couple of weeks. I had a bunch of coaches go through it that didn't have jobs. They loved the media then. But I think with Torts comes in. He's gonna, he's gonna get a lot of credit. The players, the players' admiration for Torts is it's undeniable. When he must have an ability behind closed doors to say the right thing to the players at the right time and still challenge them, and then still come out in the media and say some things that the players must already know about before. I think that's the only way to do things. But I go back to Dale Talon as a manager did a great job of building the Chicago Blackhawks. Wasn't there when they won. Florida Panthers wasn't there when they won. I mean, we've got so many people from behind the scenes. They could be video coaches. They could be assistant coaches. They could be goalie coaches that had a great impact in the team getting there. But unfortunately, they're not going to get the credit that they deserve. And that's just hockey. But the players identify that. Do you know how many players, Buffalo Sabres, still have a great deal of respect with Donnie Granato, and the skills that he taught them. And from what I understood, they were still asking for clips, from him because he's such a good teacher and he just has an ability to say the right things to the players. So maybe it didn't work out as a head coach, but I think they'll all remember what Don Granato did for them, along the way, or what Kevin Adams did in building that team while Yarmo's in the playoffs and is getting credit for it. So I think that's just hockey, isn't it? Just been around for a long time, that part of it.
It is. Hey, before we let you go, Connor Bedard, he's the face of a franchise now. He needs a new contract. Is this just a formality? Well,
I mean, I'd be shocked if it isn't, John. I'd be shocked if it isn't. Every time I talk to Connor about the situation in Chicago, obviously he loves being a Blackhawk, and he loves the fact that he comes out to a building that's, even though the team's been on the bottom part of it, it's by and large sold out. Great energy there. Everybody's wearing number 98 sweaters. So, yeah, I think I don't see this as being any issue whatsoever, because he and I have still got to play a lot of indoor simulator golf. I still got to work on his wedge game and his driver, and so he's got to be back. I got great plans for an indoor simulator club. But no, in saying all that, I think he takes a great deal of pride of being the face of the Chicago Blackhawks. And I think this is just, I honestly believe that when they come out and say it, and I don't know anything more than you do, but I think it's going to be a whole package. I mean, that's just the anticipation that I have, that you're going to see a long-term deal, and you're going to see a letter on his number 98. And the Hawks in their 101st year are going to be off and running with he leading the way. And I think that's the right call, and it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, whether it's an Austin Matthews deal or the longest term deal that you can get. It's going to be worth a lot of money. He's going to be worth every bit of it in the Chicago market. You can't compare different players in different markets. Everybody's got to take care of their own. San Jose's got to take care of their own with Macklin Celebrini, and that could be more than Connor Bedard. But for the Chicago Blackhawks and the city of Chicago, he's worth every bit that they're going to pay him, and I don't even know the number, but it's going to be worth a little bit more than I'm making every year.
Is he playing Darren Pang clubs?
I was going to say, is he?
Oh boy, he's not playing the mirrors. I try, Yeah, he's not playing these little babies right here, but he loves the game. He loves it, and he's going to be a good little butterfade. Yeah. A little.
How's your game? You were just at that pro event in Savannah.
I was, yeah. This pro tour is something else. John Smoltz and Robert Nevins, who's been the financial part of it, a Texas oil man. He's a phenomenal fella, and you know what's great about it? And I played terribly in Savannah. Terrible. It was painful. One good round there, and I felt like I hadn't played in 2 months, which I hadn't played in 2 months. But Smoltz is the commissioner. You got John Elway, plays in it. You got Marty Fish, Joe Pavelski. Being around Joe Pavelski is phenomenal. But there's other hockey players like Scotty Upshall there. Danny Quinn's there, Grant Fuhr, Bernie Nichols. Some of the younger guys. Brad Richards is a heck of a golfer, real good player. Michael Delzato is there. So you've got a group of guys that are now talking to all the NHL players, and they're like, hey, how can I get in? I played with Kyle Quincy. I haven't seen Kyle Quincy forever. He's living in Colorado. He's doing really, really well. And we played together, and boy, he bombs it. And these guys are long, like they're all long. And then there's the old guys like as me and Quinner and Fierzy are saying, we need a legacy league here too. With Wally Joyner and myself, and even though John Elway's at our age, he still hits it to be with the big boys out there. But anyway, it's just a blast. We hot stove it. We're sitting in these locker rooms that are set up for pros. We got chiropractors and we got cigars. It's phenomenal, and it's run like it's a pro event. And you've got rules committee there. You've got you've got to keep up pace of play. Some guys are a little slower than others. Everybody's getting on them. They know who they are. Keep it going.
Who's the most outgoing? Who carries the conversation? The football guys, the baseball guys, hockey guys?
I think the hockey guys have the biggest group of togetherness. We're in pass. We're going out and watching Game 7 in Savannah, Georgia. We're taking the little ferry across to this really cute little charming town of Savannah, and there's all the hockey guys. We got the bar set up. We got the TV set up for Game 7, Montreal series, Buffalo, and next thing you know, John Elway's there with his boy Jack, and next thing you know, a couple of other guys are following in, and the guy that talks the most for sure, and he would agree with this, and all our hockey guys would agree with this, because we could barely hear anything for Game 7, but he's a former Toronto Blue Jay player, and he's a really good golfer, and he talks more than me. Josh Donaldson.
Oh,
that guy.
Oh, yeah.
That guy can go. And we're looking like Josh. We're just gonna try to watch this game for a little bit right here. He's got more energy than I do. Man, oh man. So anyway,
that's saying something, because you burned
really
a lot
fun.
of calories during this podcast with your going left and right.
Visualizing,
Little different size than Freddie Andersen. Little different size than Freddie Andersen, though, Darren.
Freddie Andersen could eat me as an appetizer. I don't think I'm as big as Freddie's one leg.
Yeah.
We were in the elevator one time, and I literally like, hi, Freddie, how are you doing there, big guy? Because he's not just tall. He's only 6'4.5". I don't think he's 6'5", but he's just he's a massive body. Like
yes,
there's girth there. It's weird.
Oh my goodness.
There is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is. And combine that with, some good hands and some athleticism. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. The youthful naivety of a Carter Hart versus the veteran ups and downs and the layers of leather skin, that Freddie Andersen has. I think that's the best way to describe it. I mean, One layer's there, he gets knocked off. Another layer's there, you got another scab, you put another Band-Aid on. Keep going. And you can tell that I cheer for the guy because of what he's gone through and the criticism that he's taken. And yet you talk to the players that play with him and how much they admire him and how much of a great teammate he is, and and what he does behind the scenes. So this is going to be good. It's 7 games all the way, boys. I'll be sitting right here at the lake house watching Game 7.
Okay, send me a breakdown on your putting, because I need a putting lesson from you. I used to get those back in the day in the hallway, but I need a refresher from you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, come on out to here. Oh, wait a second. Let me see. Hold on. We'll end it on this note here. Okay. See if the putting green's ready for you. Let me see.
Oh, it's ready.
It's ready.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's running at about 13.
I'm cheering for you right now because someday you're going to catch a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're the best.
Oh, hold on. I know you're terribly disappointed not to be working the Stanley Cup Final.
It's been a long year. I needed a break.
Yeah,
I don't know about
I
you
bet.
guys, but that March was tough. March and April was tough. I think I had a game every other night. And I think
your schedule was crazy.
It was enough that the old grandpa here was a little out of gas. So this is great.
Well, enjoy the downtime with your red wine and the TV and a little bit of golf in between. Panger, appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, fellas. Take care.
Back to wrap it up on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
Boy, he's a good one, isn't he? And just he enjoys life, and I like the fact that he lets you know he's enjoying life.
Yeah. Well, if you got it.
But can you imagine having that putting green right on the lake with your boat sitting right there? That view.
But he's got to be disappointed not to work the Stanley Cup Final.
Well, there is a part of that. We love working the Stanley Cup Final, and we joke, and he's going to have a great couple of weeks earlier than normal. But you know that he would be in his element here between Raleigh and Vegas.
Oh no, there's no question. And he would do a good job. But this has been a tough. We made we alluded to it. This has been a fascinatingly long, enduring season. You know, we always talk about the players doing what they do and how difficult it has been on the players, and it certainly was, particularly the month of January and then after the Olympics to the conclusion of the regular season. But when you combine what a guy like Darren did for the Blackhawks on their regional network and then add his TNT content, I'm not sure I could have survived that. The amount of travel that he did, game after game, that's a show of endurance. I mean, things slowed down for Darren in the playoffs, and usually it's the other way around. It gets more intense in the playoffs, but things actually slowed down for Darren in the playoffs, and he did a good job. He and Brendan Burke and Jackie are a pretty good team on TNT.
That little golf tour of former athletes is pretty cool that Smoltzy set up.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Smoltzy,
yeah.
You've taught, John Smoltz?
We go way back. He did a dinner one time in Waskata, Manitoba that I co-hosted. It was amazing.
You've never talked to John Smoltz once?
No, never, not once.
That breaks one of the cardinal rules of nicknames.
I did hit balls a couple of stations down from Greg Maddox last year.
Wow!
So I consider that my connection to John Smoltz.
You cannot use nicknames of people you don't know. You can't. You shouldn't be using nicknames anyway, but you can't use nicknames of guys you don't know. That's not right.
All these limitations. Right. You're getting in the way of me living.
There are rules to everything. Rules.
So, by the way, Smoltzy is one of the great analysts in sports. His work as a two-man booth is outstanding.
Absolutely.
In an era where everything's getting bigger, what they do is brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's become a quality broadcaster, John Schmaltz.
You say Schmaltz or Smoltz?
Schmaltz.
Smoltzy. Enjoy game number one. Looking forward to it in the wind tunnel of Lenovo Center. People may not realize it, but there's one corner in that rink where it is like you get there's a wind chill effect in that part of the building. I don't know what causes it, but you'll know which reporter's there because the hair will be flying.
Well, it's because when they open the end arena gate, it's there is something that has never been fixed in that arena.
Never.
Never. And you do have to wonder. It's because it's warm there today, isn't it?
Yep. Yep.
You do have to wonder how good the ice is going to be.
Well, they bring in the dehumidifiers.
I know.
It's good, but direct flight from Vegas to Raleigh. No direct flights Raleigh to Vegas. So
wow.
The travel is a little unique in that regard, but nobody's complaining because it's easier than Edmonton, Florida the last couple of years.
Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final feels like forever ago.
Mm-hmm. Remember the NHL used to do a charter at times?
Yeah.
That you would jump on. None of that this time. Southwest, baby. I was 1D yesterday. Seat 1D. It was great.
Yeah.
And you know what I did?
Slept.
I got on the plane and sat in 2C. And a lady got on and said, "I'm in 2C. Are you in the wrong place?" And the flight attendant came up and said, "Sir, you're in the wrong seat."
So, is that where you said, "Yes, I'm in first class"?
First class. There's no first class, but I'm front, and I still sat in the wrong seat.
Oh well, you're not used to travel anymore.
Just want to own it. We'll talk to everybody on Wednesday. Enjoy game one of the Stanley Cup Final. And if you enjoyed this episode or Steve Valiquette or the episodes that we brought to you recently, let us know because the Valiquette episode, it got a lot of people's attention. Coaches were reaching out going, "We love what we hear from that guy."
Yeah.
He's a beauty. And I'm going to go on the ice with him. And I want to play golf with Panger and go on the ice with Valiquette.
What do you want to do with me?
See who we have on Wednesday.
What about me? What are we going to do?
You know what? I got to get in touch with you about something. I got to go. It's media day here. But I'll get in touch with you on that.
Are you
come up with something?
Are you going to are you going to do a are you going to be at your own dais there, your own platform?
Yeah, the pod.
Yeah, you're going to have a pod for Daren Millard pod?
Right over here. I like it when most players are a single pod and then they put a couple of players at double pods and there's always that one player who's just sitting there.
Well, you can get good quotes out of him.
Yeah. I like it, and that's what I do. I go over and hang out with those guys because you can actually have a conversation. Much like this. It's 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. Talk to you next time.
God, I hope it's better than this. Oh, my God.